Continuing with our Outlook 2014 series, I have Thomas Robyn, Senior VP of Exploration with Sierra Metals, joining me today. Thomas, thank you for joining me.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking me.
So today we are going to talk about exploration to start with. During the cost-cutting drive of 2013 from mining companies, we saw exploration was one of the big cuts made. What kind of issues is that going to make moving forward into the next few years?
Well, exploration you can think of as the R&D arm if you were like a pharmaceutical company or something. Without exploration, you don't have projects coming into the pipeline that end up going out and producing cash as an operating mine. So if you go through a period of 3, 4, 5 years of very low exploration, you can expect 5 or 10 years down the road, you have very few mines coming into production.
So is this going to be a troublesome thing, and maybe 10 years down the line if companies don't start picking up exploration again?
Yes, but being an explorationist, I feel very strongly about that. I think you can think back to like the late 80s, early 90s when gold prices were so low, there was no exploration, and all of a sudden the prices went up, people rushed in, some people made mistakes, but you end up with, again, a long delay before you have more projects coming up to the development stage.
Now, Sierra Metals has operating mines in Peru and Mexico. We'll start with Yara Cocha in Peru. Yes. I know you have a strong exploration program that goes on there. What are the latest developments, what are the latest happenings with the project?
First of all, in exploration, we have been doing a lot of exploration drilling inside the mine, the central mine, because when we acquired the mine in 2011, for a period of about 40 years prior to that, there had been no exploration done. So when we acquired it, there was only 1.1 million tons of reserves. Now, as of the end of last year, we have 6.4 million tons of reserves based on the amount of drilling that we've done. Now, for example, this year, we've drilled up through the end of the third quarter just about 24,000 meters of exploration drilling, mainly in the central mine area. This coming year, I've just been informed we've got a $2.5 million budget for exploration in and outside the mine. So exploration is going to be pacing along very nicely.
And moving on to your Mexican mines, Bolivar and a fairly new Cusi mine. Exploration, of course, continues there. What's new with these two mines?
Well, Bolivar, we had been operating there at about 350 tons per day for a number of years. Then we built a mill on site, and starting in 2011, we're processing 1,000 tons per day. Just this month, we have a new circuit online, so we are now processing 2,000 tons per day. So you're going to see a very big increase in copper production from Bolivar, and we believe that in the end of 2014, we'll step up to 3,000 tons per day. So Bolivar is moving right along, and we're doing exploration there also. The big thrust of the company, and where we see the greatest organic growth coming from, is from the Cusi mine, a silver-dominant mine. We are spending a lot of money on exploration and underground exploration and development. And we have, for example, in 2012, we mined and milled roughly 170 tons per day of development rock, and averaged 185 grams per ton there. This year we are milling just over 300 tons per day, and we expect by the middle of 2014 to be milling 600 tons per day. At that point, we will, and we have $4 million in our capital budget next year to expand the mill to 1,000 tons per day, so that in 2014 we expect to produce just under 1 million ounces of silver. In 2015, about 2 million ounces of silver, and then a steady growth from then on. So the big growth for Sierra is from Cusi, and it's dominantly silver growth.
All right. Sticking with Mexico, as you say, silver, it's a very well-known and popular jurisdiction for silver mining. Now with these new royalties coming in, what does that do to Mexico as a mining jurisdiction for companies operating there, or maybe companies looking to operate in the country?
Well, anytime the financial conditions change in the country, everybody has to pause and reflect on what that is going to, how it's going to affect them. The new royalty is on earnings before interest, taxes, deductions, and so forth. And it scales up depending on how large your EBITDA is. In 2014, it won't affect Sierra. In 2015, we think it'll be around $2 to $3 million as a cash out for the company. So it's not a big hit considering the revenues we'll have. But mining is a significant part of the Mexican gross domestic product. And anytime you make any changes to things which will negatively affect the profits made from people who put their risk money into these operations, they're going to stop and think, wait a minute, maybe this other country is a better place to put my risk money rather than this one because they want to take more of my profits.
Let's wrap up with, as part of our Outlook series, of course, what do you think the sentiment, the theme, let's say, for 2014 for the mining industry will be? What will they be looking for? More cost reductions? What do you think?
Cost reductions will be a big factor, and we're working on that at Sierra too. We've reduced our costs of production at Yara Cocha, for example, from $56 a ton in the first quarter of 2013 to $50 a ton in the third quarter. Our cost of production is going to go down at Cusi and Bolivar because we're increasing the production. So everybody will be cutting costs. The biggest problem is that investors have wandered away from the commodities business, and so it's hard for companies to raise money. So if you don't have production and cash flow, that what's going to happen is I think a lot of companies will have to turn off the lights and drop their properties. This is going to have a very negative effect in one respect, in that it will cause, like we talked about, a dearth of properties in the future to be brought into production, but it will create acquisition opportunities for those companies that have cash to be able to pick up properties pennies on the dollar. So there's a good news and bad news part of that.
Well, Thomas, thank you very much for joining me today.
Good. Thanks for the invite.
And thank you for watching our continued coverage of the Outlook 2014 series. If you have any comments or questions, please don't hesitate to send them to newsfeedback@kitco.com, or you can reach me at Alex_Letourneau on Twitter. Thanks for watching.